I tried beating Terraria, but I can only use weapons I get from Luckyblocks.
Wait, how did you get that?
Will I be lucky enough to beat the squid god? Well, let's find out. I started off the game by not chopping down trees and actually heading into my recipe browser to figure out how to craft Luckyblocks. To craft the base, we're going to need 1 topaz and 5 iron, and then things such as a golden sword if we wanted to craft a lucky block that would drop us weapons. I next went to chop down trees and went on the hunt for iron or lead and topaz so we can actually start crafting Luckyblocks. At this stage of the game, I kind of used whatever weapons to kill any mobs I could because, well, frankly, we don't have access to Luckyblocks, so I'm gonna use what I want up until we can actually make a lucky block. I came back to spawn and started digging the elevator as I thought that would be a surefire way to find some lead as well as topaz, and upon coming back to the surface, I actually managed to find a cave, and while exploring it, I found some topaz. I came back to the surface and crafted myself 5 lucky block bases. All we need now is a weapon, and how do we get that, you may ask? Well, we need to get ourselves a golden or platinum short sword. So we are now on the hunt for gold. I eventually got enough gold to craft myself a short sword, and combining with the lucky block base, we made ourselves some weapon and item lucky blocks. And I mean, this was completely overpowered. I really wasn't expecting this. Like, we got stuff like the beam sword. I think I was talking to myself half the time and I was calling it a bean sword. Like, you know, beans are pretty funny.
Beans, what the fuck?
Right, I also got an Excalibur and a broken hero sword. I got myself lucky armor, which frankly did nothing, but apparently it was supposed to give us 20 armor points. But yeah, now that we had a couple of good weapons up our sleeves, we could actually go and start fighting bosses. I also got this one weapon called the Lucky Sword and the Lucky Bow, which were really overpowered weapons. Like, literally, I kid you not, I used these all the way up until endgame, and they held up pretty well, especially the Lucky Bow. That thing was really good. I went to the jungle to get myself more HP, and upon coming back to the surface, I had realized that, well, you see, boyos, I had the wrong Lucky Block mod, and actually there was a better one that I could have installed that actually has a chance of giving you worse items. And so after realizing this major mistake, like literally game-breaking mistake, I downloaded the mod, and now we could actually start having fun. Well, now you see, yes, this mod did introduce new lucky blocks, but it also introduced new hazards as well as new crafting recipes. For these new lucky blocks, we needed either 8 iron or 8 gold and a dart trap. We could also craft more if we had hard mode ores and luminite, but using 8 gold and 1 dart trap, I could craft 2 lucky blocks. I placed my first one down, broke it, and it summoned in a bunch of pillar enemies that absolutely demolished me. Boy oh boy, this is gonna be lots of fun. Can you imagine how hard it's gonna be to get a decent weapon? Anyways, I placed down my second lucky block, broke it, and look what happened. Yeah, sand shot out literally everywhere. If I can only use weapons from the lucky blocks, I am going to have a very, very hard time beating the game. But nonetheless, I persisted and continued on playing. Next, I went into the jungle, got myself more life crystals, and while farming out life crystals, I also managed to pick up some poison dart traps, which we're going to need to craft lucky blocks, and I picked up some gold. Using the gold and the dart traps I found in the jungle, I crafted myself 4 more lucky blocks. I broke the first one, and it actually gave me some pretty decent weapons and accessories, such as the Titan glove, and we also managed to get a boomerang. I mean, we don't really need it. We have like the bean sword and the lucky sword. But yeah, I broke the next one, and it set off a cobweb trap. I didn't fall for this, but trust me, I really would not want to be caught in the middle of this. And there was also a lucky block at the bottom, which upon breaking summoned in a demonite. Yeah, I mean, this mod is full of wonders and surprises. I broke another lucky block, which ended up trapping me in this lizard brick temple, but I used a potion to get out, and then after this I went over to fight Skeletron. As soon as it turned to nighttime, I summoned him in, took him out, and then I went to explore the dungeon. Why did I want to explore the dungeon? Well, that is a very good question, but let me remind you, we need poison dart traps in order to craft any lucky block we want. So essentially for the entire game, I was on the hunt for poison dart traps, because without them, we can't get any better weapons. I came back to spawn, summoned in the Eye of Cthulhu. We took it out without any trouble whatsoever, of course, because I'm the greatest Terraria player of all time. Please subscribe to my channel or else I'm going to call your mom. And then next, I went to go take out the Eater of Worlds. This was once again a piece of cake with the armor and accessories that we had, not to mention the weapons. And after the defeat of that boss, I went to go farm out some hellstone and some obsidian. I got myself a molten pickaxe, some molten armor, and then I went down to the underworld to make myself an an arena for the Wall of Flesh. I mean, for now, the weapons that we have are pretty decent, so I doubt we're gonna really need an upgrade anytime soon. The only thing we're gonna have to upgrade is once we get into hard mode, like before fighting the mechanical bosses, we are gonna have to open up more blocks, get better weapons, and get far better armor. I went over to the jungle to once again farm out more life crystals, and I also tried to pick up as many poison dart traps as I could. Meanwhile, I crafted myself 6 more lucky blocks, made myself an arena for the hard mode bosses, and then I tried to open up the lucky blocks on the arena. I broke my first one and we just got hit with a bunch of debuffs such as like slime and confusion, so that was pretty cool. I broke my next lucky block and it gave us 795 boulders, which was epic, and upon breaking my third one, it summoned in a hard mode slime enemy thing, right? This wasn't too bad because we had really good weapons, but you know, it was a little bit annoying. After this, I went down to the underworld, chucked the guide voodoo doll into the lava, summoned in the wall of flesh, and killed it without any trouble whatsoever because I am the goat of Terraria. I went to go break some demon altars, you know, of course, bless my world with the hard mode ores, and then went to go mine out some cobalt. Once I crafted myself a cobalt pickaxe, I went to farm out mithril to make a mithril anvil and make a mithril pickaxe, and then after this, I went to go grind out some adamantite in order to craft ourselves armor. If you listen carefully in the beginning of the video, you will hear that I never said I can only use armor from the lucky blocks, so heck you. Anyways, what I meant by adamantite was titanium. Of course, I'm totally paying attention to the video, but yeah, also meanwhile, I crafted myself a ton of unlimited buffs from the Louis AFK mod. How did I do this? I just got myself 30 of every potion and then crafted as many buffs as I could because, you know, they're gonna come in handy when we can only use weapons from the actual lucky blocks, and in order to survive the lucky blocks, because some of these are very, very brutal. Before fighting any of the hard mode bosses, I did go and open up some more lucky blocks, and we had some decent ones that, for example, dropped us a bunch of keys. We also had other ones which tried to kill us with these spiky launcher things. Like, I don't know what this is, but it deals a crazy amount of damage. We broke another one that summoned in another cobweb trap. We broke one that summoned in literally a shark tornado. Like, it had a sharknado going on, bro. I don't know, as the developer the mod, what he was thinking, not me. And of course I did not die to it because I am amazing at the game. And then I collected all my titanium to craft myself full titanium armor. Upon coming back to the surface and before fighting the hard mode bosses, I did want to gear up, and so I made myself more lucky blocks and opened a few more to see what we can get. I managed to get myself a rod of discord, which was extremely lucky. I got myself a ton of beach balls. I opened one lucky block that actually just made me like eternally levitate. Well, not eternally, for 1 minute, but trust me, that minute felt like years. And then we had another lucky block that summoned in a ton of rainbow crystal staffs. Another one froze me in place for a minute. Another one gave us a ton of vanity, but we still didn't really get any decent weapons. I'm very thankful for the rod of discord though, you know, that did come in clutch. After this, I summoned in the twins, and then using my lucky bow, I tried to take them out. There was a slight problem though. I barely had any movement accessories. Like, I'm gonna be frank, I didn't have rocket boots. I think I only had Hermes boots, and that was it. Like, I had no flight, which inevitably was the death of me, as once we got to the second stage of the twins, I got absolutely demolished. Of course, I spent probably the next hour just farming out enough souls of flight so I can make myself wings, and by the end of that, I made myself a pair of angel wings. I then proceeded to summon in and kill the destroyer, then right after that, refight the twins, and I mean, now that we have wings, this was extremely easy. The twins are probably the least difficult boss in my opinion if you just have decent movement, but yeah, once the twins were defeated, I went to fight Skeletron Prime, and we took him out fairly quickly as well, meaning that yes, boyos, the jungle grows restless. You know what else grows restless? That is right, the hair in your butthole if you do not subscribe to Boio. So hit the subscribe button or else. Okay, so now look, upon killing Skeletron Prime, we got blessed with a goblin invasion, and what I mean by blessed is cursed. I hate the goblins. Get out of my face, bro. But there wasn't really anything I could do about it, so we were forced to take them out. We absolutely demolished them because our weapons are overpowered and they stood no chance against us whatsoever. And after we took out the goblins, I decided to do a very, very big naughty move play. Check this out. Put down in the comments, before I craft them, how many lucky blocks is Boio going to craft? Right now, I want to see a number right now in the comments, literally right now. Well, if you guessed 82, then you would be correct. You might say, Boio, how did you get 82 blocks? Well, I had a lot, and I mean a lot, of leftover titanium. And how did I get the dart traps? Don't worry about it. I placed down as many blocks as I could and tried to open them all, but everything in like a 20-meter radius just exploded. we had a Sharknado, and there was a rainbow dance party going on, which inevitably led me to die. Fun. Upon opening more Lucky Blocks, I got myself a variety of interesting things, such as bugs, pets, potions, like literally you name it, I probably got it from these Lucky Blocks. What I really wonder though is like, what's the best thing you can get? Cause could you imagine if you just like, as soon as you start the world, you make a Lucky Block, you break it, and you get something like the Zenith? How overpowered would that be? Well, that's besides the point because I didn't get the Zenith, but anyways, I went over to the jungle and started mining out myself some chlorophyte in order to be able to later on craft turtle armor. While mining for chlorophyte, I was also in search for Plantera's bulb because that is the next boss on our list. Once I came back to spawn, I finally managed to take out the goblin invasion. Yeah, that took me forever to do. And I also crafted myself a Plantera bulb finder. I used it and there was still no Plantera bulb in our world because I guess we were progressing too fast or something along those lines, blah blah, you know. Also, I completely forgot to mention, when breaking a Lucky Block, I managed to get myself a bunch of letters and I made a little Boio symbol. Isn't that absolutely wonderful? I reforged all of my gear, went back to the jungle, and started farming out turtles. Why? Because I need turtle armor. Once I got all the turtle shells, I came back to spawn, crafted myself turtle armor, and then went to the caverns in order to farm out mimics so I can get a compass. Why did I need a compass? Well, because when I used my Plantera bulb finder, I couldn't actually tell the location of myself in comparison to where Plantera's bulb was. I spent forever trying to get this thing and I still didn't get a compass, right? So I just decided to go into the jungle, not worry, and just kind of look around. This actually ended up being the correct thing to do, surprisingly, because as soon as I came to the jungle, I found Plantera's bulb almost immediately. I dug myself out an arena, placed some platforms, and summoned in the plant herself. Using the Lucky Bow, we absolutely shredded through all of her HP. Like, this was hilarious, bro. The Lucky Bow is so good. I never imagined to be this overpowered at taking out bosses. But once Plantera was out, we can now travel to Golem's temple. Of course, the Chad that I am, I just used my rod of Discord to teleport inside because I could not be asked to go and find the entrance. In other words, I couldn't find the entrance. I found myself a lizard power cell, summoning Golem, and then try to take him out with the Lucky Bow. Keep in mind, this is a drop from the Lucky Block, so don't you get pedantic with me. Oh boy, you're using a bow drop from a different Lucky Block. Shut up, let me play the game. We took out Golem, and we took out Golem again, and again, and again, until I got myself beetle armor. I tried to get a Pigsaw, but luck was really not on my side, and I just couldn't get it. During this time, I tried to open up another Lucky Block, and that just transformed all of my NPC houses into meteorite. So I left the Lucky Blocks for now and just went to fight Lunatic Cultist. Don't worry, we're still gonna open up more Lucky Blocks, but for now I'm kind of done with them because our weapons are decent enough to take out the Lunatic Cultist. Well, I made my way over to Skeletron's dungeon and went to fight the Lunatic Cultist. I was using chlorophyte arrows in conjunction with the Lucky Bow, and honestly, this was the biggest pain of all time. Like, this boss fight was so difficult. I don't know why. Lunatic Cultist is supposed to be easy, right? But for some reason, I could not figure out which version of Lunatic Cultist was the real one, and I kept on summoning in dragons. Honestly, I'm surprised I beat him. Spoiler alert, yeah, I beat him, even though I should have died many a times. Well, we have now started the Celestial Pillar event. And how about you guys guess which pillar I take on first? Well, if you guess solar, you'd be correct. Why did I go for solar? Let me explain. The lucky sword was just bad now, and I couldn't get anything from the Lucky Blocks, so I decided to use a solar eruption. Yes, I know that's not a Lucky Block sword. Be quiet, just watch the video, look what happens next. I took out the Vortex pillar, then took out the Nebula pillar, and left the Stardust pillar for last. I wanted to do a couple more important things before we fought Moonlord, and by important things, I mean open up all of the Lucky Blocks so we have absolutely everything in our arsenal to defeat the Squid God. Well, and this started my everlasting journey of opening up Lucky Blocks. This resulted in me blowing up my NPC houses, getting a bunch of potions, summoning in a bunch of Halloween enemies. Like, we went through hell and back opening up all of these Lucky Blocks because I did not want them to go to waste. We summoned in an entire background somehow. We summoned in more sharks. We literally had a huge waterfall just engulf us. Like, I am so confused on what was going on. I genuinely am amazed by this mod, but at the same time, I'm never playing this ever again. I placed more Lucky Blocks, summoning in confetti, celebrating me beating Moonlord, which I'm going to do very soon. And then on the very last few couple of blocks, I actually managed to break one. It spun in this massive square of honey, which was so annoying. Like, what am I supposed to do with all of this honey in my world. It slowed me down. I could barely move inside of it. And then I had to wait for all of it to fall down. It was like half glitched. But yeah, I've literally seen everything in Terraria. I even managed to break a lucky block and it dropped me 2 lucky blocks. Like we had Everscream spawning in. It was just absolutely hectic. What I should have utilized is the Rainbow Crystal Staff lucky block drop in order to take out Moonlord. That would have been very overpowered, right? Like we would have a ton of Rainbow Crystal Staffs just laying there and then we could have it deal damage to the Moonlord because these things last a while, right? So we could have played it smart, but you know, Boio's a little bit stupid, so don't you guys expect that much from me. Anyways, I went to go break the very final pillar and we summoned in Moonlord. I built myself an arena out of poison dart traps just because, you know, lucky blocks, poison darts, yeah, they kind of go hand in hand. We took out the 3 main eyes and then only with the core remaining, I managed to take that out as well. And we very elegantly, may I add, ended up beating the game. Be sure to check out another video like this on screen. Consider subscribing to the channel if you're new. This has been Boio. Peace out.